of truth, wisdom, and light. This is Reverend Eliot, your friendly neighborhood esoteric practitioner, coming to you live tonight on the 4th of January, which means two things. It's our first show of 2023, and tomorrow's my birthday. So by the time this show ends, I will be an older but wiser man. So that's it. Now, there's a story behind that, by the way, that the 5th of January is, according to most calculations, but not all, the 12th night of Christmas. And the 12th night of Christmas is generally the Feast of Fools, the Festival of Fools, or the Feast of Fools, in which the Pope of Folly is crowned. And what they do now mostly, if you look it up, they'll say it's celebrated on or around January 1st. But it's January 5th. Now, the thing is that back in the Dark Ages, when I was born, if a child was delivered up to January 4th, that child was tax deductible for the previous year. And so, of course, I was born a day too late, and I always suspected that my parents held that against me. I have no idea why. Also, now, if you celebrate the Christmas season and the 12th night of Christmas and all of that, according to the Latin American tradition, January 6th is the day they celebrate Christmas. That's when the wise men arrived. And is that Epiphany? I don't even remember. I've lost my catechism. My catechism was chased out by my dogatism, or whatever that's called. But this is I was born on Christmas Eve in the Mexican tradition, and since my father was a Mexican, that I was like a Christmas present, I suppose, which is, I'll save that for the psychiatrists out in the audience. I have no idea why. My sister was born really close to Valentine's Day, but several years before me. And, oh gosh, this is, so the January and February stuff in our family was never really. We thought that all these holidays revolved around us as children, but that we were very sorely disabused of that notion quite early on in our adult lives. So here we are, and I have a special guest tonight. I'm going to bring my special guest right on now. I have a guest who's going to help us out to see what the year is going to be like. I have with me Baby New Year. So I'm going to ask Baby New Year to give us a little hint as to what the future is going to be like. Not sure I like that. Not too sure that that's a little bit alarming. But look, that's what we have the magical window for, so we can look and we can see see what's coming up in the future. Now, I generally disdain fortune telling. You will meet a tall, dark stranger who will max out all your credit cards, is the way it usually goes. But it is an interesting aspect of this. What we want to get pretentious about it, what we call what tarot readers do, divination, divining things, looking into the future, yeah. But it's more than looking into the future. We can look into the past. What happened? See, I'm convinced. I've given this a great deal of thought, and I was thinking of writing a book about this, but the book would be about a page long, and I don't know what am I going to pad it with, right? What is the first thought that the first human being had? Now, I'm assuming that we're going to describe a human being like maybe a Neanderthal. Science has now come to believe that the Neanderthal was much smarter than we were, which is probably why they made an exit. But there may be Neanderthals among us. I don't know. The Homo sapiens sapiens, which is what we are, categorically speaking, unless we identify as Neanderthal, but that's a whole other ball of wax I don't want to get into. The whole idea is that somebody had the first thought. Now, there's a group of people who believe that the first ape who became a human did it because that ape grabbed hold of a magic mushroom for dinner one night and opened, and consciousness existed. I have a feeling that the first thought that ever came into a human mind was, let's see, how can I phrase this delicately? What the hell was that? The human being is walking around foraging, doesn't know it's a human being, which is not a unique situation. We see that all the time these days. Shuffling up the cards. And a bolt of lightning strikes. That's the first thought. What the hell was that? Where'd the sun go? What's going on? What was that? And I think that's where the chain of thought began with that. Now, I believe, and this is not a unique to me. This is why, and I'll explain this to you. This is why I think divination can function. We carry the memories of everybody in our past whose GNA. I don't even know what that means. It was DNA we carry. This is not as far-fetched as you might think, especially since now, you see, for years, people thought about I think it was Linnaeus's, was it Linnaeus? The theory of inherited characteristics, which they said was ridiculous. The idea that you could take 5 generations of mice and cut their tails off, and then they would start giving birth to mice without tails, which of course never happened. But they're now finding out that it's true. There is such a thing as inherited characteristics that get passed on. The study was done with rats, of course, these poor little rats. They were given an electric shock after smelling something specific. There was a specific aroma that was created that doesn't exist in nature, so there could be no mistake that it wasn't to get rid of that coincidental thing. And they shocked they shocked the rats upon their smelling this. So naturally, anytime those rats smelled that again, they went into a fear response because they didn't want to get shocked. And the shocking part is that the rats' offspring did the same thing. The offspring of the rats were born afraid of that aroma that doesn't exist in nature, that was created in the lab. So how did that happen? There's all kinds of theories about the morphogenic field. You can look up Rupert Sheldrake. I have some stuff about Rupert Sheldrake at my website, magic-works.com, MAGIC-works.com. But science is never wrong. Scientists are always right. I think we learned that over the last couple of years. So they're not going to say, holy mackerel, we've been making a mistake. There is such a thing as the genetic transmission of inherited characteristics. They don't call it that. They call it epigenetics. What it really means, epigenetics, simply means that what these rats learn, their offspring will know. Now, that's odd. But imagine the power and the knowledge that you and I have access to if we can get to what's contained in our DNA. And this is why when people ask me, for instance, if they're delicate and tactful enough, how old I am, which, since I brought up my birthday, that's why I feel it's fair game to do that. I will tell you now how old I am, because I get asked this a lot. I'm about 4 billion years old. That's the age of the DNA that I carry. That's the age of the DNA that you carry. And that's pretty good. Just tell people, first of all, they're going to think you look damn good for your age. I'm laughing now because I'm thinking of Al Lewis, who you may remember as Grandpa Munster. Although his name wasn't Munster. He couldn't have been, because he was Lily's father. So he would have been Grandpa something else. But we think of him as Grandpa Munster. I knew him. Almost everyone in New York knew him. So this is not an accomplishment. It's knowing him. To me, he's always going to be Sergeant Officer Schnauzer on Car 54. Where are you? But you can find some wonderful interviews with him on YouTube that were done by, I believe, the TV Academy, the people who give out the Emmy Awards. And they're fascinating stories that he's telling. And he likes to make a point of saying how good his memory is for somebody who's 93 years old. Well, of course, he was probably in his late 70s at that point. He just loved to tell people he was about a good 20 years older than he was. Because, I go around telling people that I'm, whatever my age is, let's face it, if I say I'm 93 years old, no matter what my decrepit condition, they're going to say I look pretty good. But you're 4 billion years old, man. You are. The material that makes up your body is, well, first of all, it's the food that you eat. We turn the food into ourselves. But the whole thing, genetically speaking, is billions of years old. Now that they have looked into what they call epigenetics, there's an astonishing possibility that we carry all the memories of everybody in our family line, of the experiences, everything. You see, this is why you forget where you put the car keys. You carry in 4 billion years worth of memories in your body. So sometimes you're not going to remember. This is what I believe is one of the things that tarot does. And is not that this is some magic thing. It's magic in a sense. And magic is just the name given to science that they don't have any explanation for. But we can bypass certain things. I mean, this is nothing new. Carl Jung talked about the collective unconscious. Morphogenic fields this is the fascinating theory of Rupert Sheldrake's, and he keeps amassing evidence, which is that our memories are not stored in our brain. They're stored in an electrical field around us, and our brain is just the thing that we use to tap into that. As he used to say, and this will show you how long he's been thinking about it, if you pulled a couple of tubes out of your television set, you're not going to receive the Johnny Carson show. But that doesn't mean that Johnny Carson was in your TV, does it? You see, because it's an electrical field. This goes a long way to explain why all these flocks of birds can zoom around in the sky and all turn on a dime and not bump into each other, because they're one mind. And who knows? But I'd urge you to look into that, because it's fascinating. And through meditation, we can contact things in our past. I mean, this I know. This is something I have a very strong memory of. At the age of 4, my parents were looking at a movie on television. That's how we saw movies at home in those days, And it was a biographical film about a prominent entertainer. Probably probably the most prominent entertainer of his generation, and his recordings still sell to this day. And I'm talking about like he was dead for years when I was 4 anyway, but not that many years, but dead. I sat there as a 4-year-old watching them watch this film. And things would be shown in the movie about the life of this person. And I said to my parents at a couple of points, that didn't happen that way. That didn't happen that way. No, that's wrong. That didn't happen. And they were flabbergasted. Now, are we talking about reincarnation? Was I perhaps reincarnated as somebody who knew that person? I'm not going to be arrogant enough to say that I am the reincarnation of that particular celebrity person. Because you notice everybody who's been reincarnated was Cleopatra or Caesar or some great Roman general. Nobody was the guy who cleaned the latrines. This is what I find peculiar about the reincarnation stuff. Everybody was somebody really important. But I knew at that age that and over subsequent years I explored this, and I found out that yes, those things I pointed out in the movie were contrivances of the screenwriters to move the story along, and they didn't happen. But that was very odd, and in order to get in touch with that, my parents bought me a bunch of records by this particular person. But I could see that at the age of 4, that I must have remembered something from somewhere. And now, given the theory of epigenetics, which is really the theory, the discredited theory of inherited characteristics, has been renamed by science as epigenetics, we find that what we learn we can pass along somehow. I'm sure if a rat does it, we can do it. So what a remarkable thing that would be. I mean, my family on my father's side came here. How was your father's side? That's the old joke. It's doing fine now. They came here to the New World. They were banished by the Spanish Inquisition, which is another remarkable story all on its own, which I'll get into one day. But that's how the Camarena family got here to the New World, was being banished by the Spanish Inquisition. So I come from a long line of political refugees. My mother's family came here from Germany and Belgium. But they were from originally Chicago anyway, but they didn't know that. Now that and bears some explaining, and I will tell you that story one day because it's a lulu. It's just a really weird one. But they came here in response to the Nazis, which means, to save their lives. They were, on my mother's side of the family was on the Hitler death list, which is, again, another story. But so looking at it from going back to the Spanish Inquisition and then to the Nazis, how my parents happened to meet on a crosstown bus here in New York City in the late 1940s is a wild thing because they were both descended from refugees. So we can get in touch with all of that. And wouldn't you like to do that? Meditation is a way to do it. We have things like the Akashic Record. Now, what if the Akashic Record is nothing more than tapping into your genes? You see, I have a pretty good Akashic Record meditation that I can recommend by Tara Sutphen. The name might be familiar because I mentioned Dick Sutphen, her father, I believe it's her father, his meditation, the Telecrux system for remote viewing and contacting people. And I can tell you from experience it works. It does work. Tara Sutphen has a meditation which I would urge you to try and find that and try it because it's about the getting in touch with your Akashic Record, which is to see what your past was like. And wouldn't that be astounding if what we're really talking about is tapping into the information in your DNA? Because it all had to start somewhere. We all have the same DNA. We just different configurations. It was such a mystery to me when I was little. I used to say to my parents, and this is probably what drove them to drinking. If everybody has like two eyes and eyebrows and a nose and a mouth and two ears, why do they all look different? You try explaining that to a kid, and you try getting a school teacher to explain that in kindergarten. I was very quickly, I might add, thrown out of kindergarten. They threw me out of kindergarten and put me into the first grade, which I loved because all I wanted to do was to learn how to read. Now, why was I so desperate to learn how to read? I knew the answers to everything was written somewhere, and I really desperately wanted to read. Could it be that I knew something genetically? I don't know. So look up epigenetics sometime. And because that's what I think we're doing with tarot cards. I think with tarot cards and other divination techniques, what we're doing is bypassing all that stuff, all that baggage we've accumulated during our lifetime, which is endlessly playing in our minds, and getting in touch with the DNA of our ancestors. That would be so edifying if we could unlock that, if we could do that. Haven't you all had glimmers of something in a deja vu kind of way? I don't mean like the instantaneous deja vu where you put down a glass of orange juice and then you think, wait a minute, I thought I just did do that. And I'm talking about the big scheme of things. I'll give you one example before we get to the readings. A couple of years ago, as many of you know, my wife had a terrible, terrible accident, and she was in a hospital here in New York. that dealt with that kind of surgery. It was just a really horrific accident, and she went through a lot of stuff. Well, I went to visit her at the hospital quite a number of times, and on one of the occasions that I went there, I took a stroll afterwards, just because it was very stressful for all of us all that time. So I took a walk, and I found a park in Manhattan on the east side, around 17th, 16th Street. And it was a park, and it was split in the middle. I just hit the microphone. Sorry for that. I feel like I just hit you guys in the head. It was split right down the middle, this park, and part of it was on the east side of the street, and part of it was on the west side of the street. And I stood there dumbfounded because I had been there before in my dreams. I have dreamed so many times of being in that park and in that place that I knew that when I turned my head and looked to the west side, I knew exactly what the buildings would look like over there, and that's what they were. I had been there. I didn't know that such a place existed, and I'm a native New Yorker, and I just never had occasion to go there. And if I always wondered where this place was, I didn't know where to look, and there it was. There it was. I had been there. I had seen it. I have pictures of it now that I look at now and then, and it's just, to me, it's remarkable. Just remarkable that it was there. Now, when did I see it? Interestingly enough, there are no cars in my dreams when I see it. There are horse-drawn carriages. So you see, this is what we're carrying. Now, obviously, this would be a comparatively recent thing. I'm not looking at memories from DNA that were stored 600-700 years ago. I wouldn't mind doing that. But between our dreams and things like tarot cards, I think we can access this. And I'd like to work something out someday, and maybe I'll record a meditation and I'll make it available to everybody here. And we'll do the research. What do you think of that? If I may, let me know. My email is asktarot@earthlink.net, or you can find a contact page at my website. Obviously, I wasn't a technician in a previous life. If there is a previous life, I think my previous life, like your previous life, is everybody's life before you. But that's neither here nor there. But I will make that available when I get that ready, do that meditation, and anybody will be able to download it and slap that in a music MP3 type player if people are still using those with earphones and earbuds. See, I'm getting hip now, right? Earbuds, and then we'll see if you pick up memories, and then we'll discuss that, and we'll see. Maybe that would be a good thing for a seminar that we could do, a webinar. Why don't we kick that around? Because I would like someday in the future for somebody to be strolling through the Museum of Epigenetics and say, and this wing is dedicated to the listeners of Ask One Radio who proved that there is such a thing as memory embedded in the DNA. So there. Let's all make history. Well, I've been talking long enough now. This is what happens when I miss a few shows. I was on last week, of course, but I had missed about a month of shows before that, owing to wonderful illnesses. But I'm back, and I get full of chat, as they say. So let's do this. Let's ring a bell 3 times to declare sacred space so that we can get right smack down to our first reading for the night. Here we go. And let's see, what do we have now? Okay, we have Savannah in Easton, Maryland. Hi, Savannah. You're on with Reverend Eliot.
Hello.
Hi, Savannah. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm a real babbler sometimes, and
I enjoyed hearing it.
Oh, thank you. Today was one of those days. So, what can I look at for you?
I'm gonna just let the universe tell me what I need to hear, whatever comes to you. Nothing
Okay.
specific.
Let's see what we've got here. These are some interesting cards, and I'm going to ask you in a very circumspect way because it's strange here. The first is the Nine of Swords. That's a card of sorrow and sadness. Did something bad happen to you recently?
Mm, maybe not me, but the people around me.
Oh, so there is some sadness around you. That's
Yeah.
something going on. Okay, because the next card is a card I rarely get. It's the Hanged Man. And that is a person who is making sacrifices and deliberate sacrifices. You're giving something up in order to get something else. Does that fit what's going on in your life now?
Yeah, sort of.
Okay. The rest of the cards here are interesting. The King of Swords is telling me the court cards and the swords especially. Swords are mental activity. The court cards, the king is about the manifestation, the appearance. Those cards go from the knight, which is potential, to the queen, which is stabilizing, to the king, which is control and mastery, to the page, which is the appearance, the actual appearance of. Well, so what this is telling me with the King of Swords is that you're really developing and mastering a new way of thinking and a new way of seeing the world. And the next card is the Eight of Cups, which is a person who is either doing this now or ready to do it or considering it, which is leaving things in life that aren't working for you and going to something better. Because you're seeing things very differently now, and you're growing and changing, and you want something better, and you're working towards getting something better. Now, am I in the right ballpark here?
Yep, you're on the nail.
Okay. And after that, which is fascinating, is because this is purely an intellectual thing. Your mind is changing. Your mind is growing. You're seeing things differently. But the Knight of Cups is here. And remember, the knights are the potential beginning of something. And cups, unlike swords, which are mental activity, the cups are emotions and emotional activity, sometimes even romance. But what it's telling me is that the way you're growing mentally is going to lead to a rebirth of wonderful happiness and emotion in your life, that things are going to be very good emotionally. Now you're working towards that. In other words, you're going to feel a lot better. Okay. And you're working at it. This is your doing. Now, I want to tell you one thing I see here that I don't particularly like, but there's really not that much you can do about it, except maybe if you're perceptive enough, judging by these cards, to know about what I'm going to tell you. There's somebody around you, at least one person, who is spreading gossip about you, maybe sneaking around, not acting in your best interest. Do you get that feeling that there's somebody doing that?
Yeah, probably.
Well,
without my knowledge, yeah, probably.
Yes, yeah, exactly. This is a person who's sneaking around. I don't see that being very successful at all. I think that person is headed for trouble, because the next card for that person is the Judgment card, which is getting what you deserve for what you're doing. And I don't think, you don't worry about it, is what I'm saying. I'm only bringing it up because I think that you're aware of it, that you feel it, that there's somebody who's doing things behind your back. And, when we get that feeling, the first thing we think is we must be paranoid. Maybe I'm crazy, but I think that, that kind of thing. But the cards are telling me that there is at least one person who's doing that. Now, that is not out of the question. When you start thinking differently in life, you're going to lose friends, and people are going to say, what happened to you? Why are you so different now? What's going on? And that's a current that we have to fight. But there's somebody who's just spreading gossip about you, and it's not going to work out very well for that person. It's not going to affect you badly at all. Okay, so if you're concerned about who this person is and what this person is doing, don't bother, because that person is making a true punishment for him or herself. So so you're going to be okay. You're just going through a period of change, and you're going to be getting rid of some things in life that you don't like, and you're going to be changing that, and you're going to start feeling really, really good. Because this opened up with that sorrow that's around you and some kind of sadness. But the sacrifices you're making and the new way that you're thinking is going to lead to a whole new way of feeling. I'm going to, look, this is great. This is the card I would have liked to see earlier. It's the Six of Swords. That's a person who has the energy and the willpower to get from where she is to where she wants to be, and will succeed. So that's very good. You're gonna have an interesting year, a year of growth. Okay.
I feel it.
Beautiful. And
Thank
see, that's
you
what
so much.
that's why I can see from the cards that you're very intuitive. That's why I wanted
Yes.
to mention.
Well, when you
that-
were saying the stuff about the person or whoever's out there speaking ill will of me, I mean, there's probably a few people that I could think of that it could be, but I'm not worried about it because what comes around goes around, you know? So
yeah, well, yeah,
I know I'm a good person and I put good out into the world, and that's all I'm worried about, you know?
It's not going to go well for them. That's all I can tell you from that. So,
I mean, like, that's rude to say, but good. That's what they get, you know? Maybe they'll learn a lesson from it.
yeah, that's the lesson to be learned, is that there's a lesson to be learned. That's the first thing. So maybe they will learn. Maybe they'll be better for it. I just don't see them succeeding. I mean, I see them, the cards I have are kind of difficult for them, you know. So you'll be fine. Just keep in mind that the efforts that you are making to improve the way you're doing things and your life are going to be successful, and they're showing success right now, in fact. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Bye now. And let's shuffle up the cards again. You're listening to Reverend Eliot's Magical Window with me, Reverend Eliot, the friendly neighborhood esoteric blabbermouth. I get into this. I always think, what the heck am I going to talk about? What am I going to say? What is there to talk about? And the next thing you know, I'm giving you a rant about the Spanish Inquisition and epigenetics, which now I'll probably be up all night trying to design a meditation that we can all do. If you have any suggestions about that, please let me know. I mean, it's not like I'm going to use it to make a fabulous sum of money, because I'm going to make this available to this meditation I do. When I do it, I'm going to make it available to everybody at no charge, because that's the kind of hairpin I am. I think. You see, that's the kind of language I think I used in about 1919. So there you go. Amy in Jackson, Michigan is next. Hi, you're on with Reverend Eliot.
Hi. Thank you for taking my call.
Hey, that's what I'm here for. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well.
Thank you. What can I look at for you?
I have a question regarding, I don't know if you can get, I know there's timing involved with an injustice, a situation that needs to be resolved involving myself and my kids.
Okay, well, let's see what we have here. Well, you know, the Emperor is here, and the Emperor is a card. It's not exactly a card of justice, but it's an authority figure, and everything. And I see this working out okay, but not yet. There are indications that there's more time to go here. The first card I have is the Four of Swords, which is about taking time out and a break from things. Then I have the Emperor card, which tells me that somebody's going to take command here. That somebody's going to take charge of this. Could be you, could be someone you bring in, whatever. You know, there will be somebody who will come in and help out. And the next card is the Ten of Cups, which is perfected happiness and a happy family, and it's very good. But the next card is the Three of Rods, which is saying, but that's going to take time. And it's going to take, again, the cooperation of somebody else. So that's what the Emperor is telling me, and this card, the Three of Rods, is telling me that there is going to be somebody who's going to come in and help this situation out. And The next card is the Wheel of Fortune, which means the situation as it is now is going to change. And then the Judgment card is here, which means that it'll be almost like a rebirth, and you'll get what's deserved. Everybody's going to work out. It's a form of justice, but on a very deep spiritual level. So I think it's going to work out for you, but it's going to take a little bit longer than you're comfortable with. Okay?
Okay.
But you're on a good path here. I'm not seeing any speed bumps. I'm just seeing that it's developing slowly, and there's somebody else is going to come in and be involved, and that is going to help work it out.
Okay.
Let me see if I can get anything else on timing here. No, you see, I'm not. Well, there's another card, the 10 of Coins and the 10 of Cups. These are cards of completion and happiness and joy. So there's that good stuff is there, but I also have like the Chariot, which is you're in the position. The Chariot is a person who's holding the illustration symbolically is a person in a chariot with a black horse and a white horse, opposites, yin yang.
Mm-hmm.
You are in the middle of conflicting forces here, and you're holding it together, and that's very difficult.
Right.
But you're doing it, and so that's that will continue for a while. But the outcome is good. The outcome is going to be very good. Here's a card, the 7 of Rods, which is about a person with the ability to sweep away all difficulties. So what I'm getting here is that ultimately it's going to work out to everybody's satisfaction, but it's going to take more time than you thought you wanted it to take.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, it's worth checking back with me in a few months and see what you get. If you can't get through here again, you can always drop me a line at my email, asktarot@earthlink.net, and I'll take a look at a few more cards for you. And that will continue. We'll consider that a continuation of this reading, because here's another one, like the 6 of Rods. It's a card of great success. It looks like things are going to work out, but not yet.
Okay.
Okay. I hope that doesn't sound like a cop-out, but that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah. It's been like 10 years. So
Wow.
It's been a long time.
Well, that Wheel of Fortune is a good card in that it's saying the situation is going to change. And here's the Hermit, which again is like a person coming in to guide you. That's a person holding a lamp. There's all indications that what's going to get this moving is somebody who's going to come in and help you all with it.
Right.
But like I said, not now. I'm not talking about another 10 years, but not as soon as you want. It's going to require a little more patience. But you have the strength to do this. The 4 of Swords is also a reminder to give yourself some peace and some downtime and some meditation time and some relaxation time also, because what you're doing, according to these cards, is very stressful. But you're doing it, and that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's rewarding, but it's difficult. But it will be.
For the kids involved as well. Yeah, I'm just concerned about my boys involved as well.
No, I see that there's a lot of. I'm seeing, like, here's the 5 of Rods. It's not a pleasant situation. There's strife. There's battle. This is not terrible battle, but it's enough that it's weighing down on you. But there will be. Let me give you this. This will help you. I think this will be something to keep in mind. I have the Lovers card here. The Lovers is one of the cards in the tarot deck that's been misconstrued deliberately in many movies to be like a thing about purely romance, but it isn't. This is a card about having to make a choice. You're going to know that this is approaching a resolution when you're faced with a very deep choice that you'll have to make about the situation. So then you'll know that it's starting to come together. Because I really don't like giving readings that say, well, this is going to happen, but it's going to take a longer time than you thought, because that's just so open-ended and vague. So I like to look for some kind of hint as to when you can recognize that time. And the Lover's card is here. And there's the Hierophant, which is a card of religious authority, but it's again on the larger level, it's an authority figure. This is, again, there are 3 cards now telling me that somebody is going to come in with you, not against your will. I mean, somebody who's going to help you work it out. You'll know that time is coming because you'll be asked to make a very deep personal choice. And don't let it freak you out, because I see that you're going to do the right choice for whatever it is you need to do. But just know that when that choice appears, that's the sign that the time is coming for this thing to start moving into a resolution.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah, that's helpful.
Okay, so keep that in mind. And like I said, drop me a line anytime you want, and I'll, after some time goes by, a few weeks, a couple of months maybe, and then if you can't get through again, and I will be more than happy to pull a few cards for you, and we can see if this thing is getting off the ground and moving. Just remind me, because I do so many calls and I don't catalog them all in my head. Just remind me about it, and I'll be more than happy to look at some cards for you and consider that a continuation of this reading.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Best of luck to you. Bye-bye now. And let's shuffle up the cards for a moment here. And let's see what we got here. There we go. Corinne in California is next. Hi, you're on with Reverend Eliot.
Hi. So glad to be here. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. What can I look at for you tonight?
Let's see. Maybe more, I guess I'd say my spiritual development this year.
Okay, let's see what we got. Well, that's interesting. These are some interesting cards here. This is... Spiritually speaking, first off, I got the 6 of Cups here. And the 6 of Cups is about influences and memories from childhood. So there are things that you've wanted to do for a long, long, long time in your life, and I think you're planning on doing them, and you're going to do them. Is that something that's coming up?
Yes, very, very much so.
Okay, well, you're going to be happy with this. I've got the 10 of Cups, which is great happiness. I have the Star, which is a card of optimism. And then I have the Justice card, which it's an interesting card to appear here, because it's as if somebody has not treated you fairly, but you're going to get justice for that. In fact, you're going to be quite successful in getting justice for that. Is something like that going on in your life now?
There's quite a few of those scenarios going on, and especially the last few years.
Well, these cards show that it's going to work out okay. The World card is a card of assured success. The Justice card, of course, tells me that. Here's another, the 6 of Rods, which I just had earlier for another caller, is a card of triumph. The key to all this, I'm putting one card above it to see what the key is, and that is strength. That is the card of strength. It's going to require effort on your part, but you know that. Because you've been doing this.
I can't just be sitting and watching the workout video and not do the workout.
Yeah, I know that feeling. Believe me, I know that feeling. But I think you're going to be fine. The spirituality is going to come from the things that you want to connect with from your past. Ambitions and not. I'm not a big believer in ambition, but I mean that not in the sense of like I'm going to conquer the world and climb the tower of. I mean, it's your ambitions are more personal, and there are things that you may have always had in your mind from childhood on, but you put it aside, and I see you getting back to those kind of things. And that's rejuvenating in a spiritual way, but the justice is coming. You don't have to go into any details about any of this, but you have been mistreated, and you will be getting justice.
That is such a relief. So I
Yeah,
feel like coming, but it's nice to have that reassurance.
yeah, because sometimes we think maybe we're too close to it and we're judging it wrong. But yes, that's definitely here. You're waking up to a bunch of things in life, and you're entering. Well, these I've got three more cards here that are fascinating. Two of them they look ugly, these cards, but they're not at all. They're very good.
It's what insight that counts, right?
Yeah, well, let me explain to you because I only have a couple of minutes here. The Ten of Swords, that shows a person lying down in the mud with swords in their back, and the Death card is here. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to get killed. The Ten of Swords means that life has thrown its worst at you, and you're still here. You're going to get up. The Death card means that the end of one part of your life is coming up and the beginning of the next phase is coming up. And the Ace of Rods is there, which tells me that there's maybe a whole new business career, making money doing something that you like and you've been wanting to do, because I've got the Eight of Coins here too, which is a person working very diligently at a new job. So it looks like there's growth coming your way, but the important thing is that the bad stuff is ending. The phase of your life that you're not happy with is coming to a close, and the next phase that you're going to like is beginning.
That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you.
My pleasure. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well. Have a beautiful night.
Thank you. Bye-bye now. And let's go right to Susie in Georgia, because we have a few minutes left to see if I can work a reading in for Susie. Hi, you're on with Reverend Eliot.
Hi, thank you so much.
Well, my pleasure. What can I look at for you?
Well, I just want to see kind of what the new year is bringing for me, kind of what to look forward to in the next few months or for the next year. So just something more general.
Okay, well, oh man, these cards are almost boringly happy. I mean, seriously.
Okay.
These are really good. These are really, really good. The World is a card of assured success. The Ten of Cups is about great happiness and perfected happiness. The Sun is about healing and growth and renewal. The Ace of Coins is about the possibility of making money coming in a new way. And then the Three of Coins, that's an interesting one. That relates to, in a literal way, getting a project, completing it, and being successful at it, and being recognized for it, and leading to other things. And all of this is coming. This is in the works now. This is looking very good here, because I've got the Eight of Rods. There's a lot of good stuff just headed your way immediately, almost.
Okay.
So there you go. I mean, if there's any new ideas for making money, you're going to have them, and it's going to work out for you very well.
Okay. Well, that's good. So as far as, what do you think as far as like changing your career or just something more on the side?
It's about the money more than just like a new career. It does tell me that there's an opportunity is going to come up, and it could be within what you do now, or it could be new. That we'd have to take a long look at another. I'm running out of time here,
Right.
but I can tell you this: the Seven of Cups is here, and the cups are important. The Ace of Cups. These are the Seven of Cups about a very fertile mind, a good imagination, a way to see many possibilities and do many things. And the Ace of Cups, which is the beginning of emotional satisfaction and joy and happiness. These are all coming your way, and that's just really nice stuff. Like I said, there's health and healing and growth and happiness and success and more on the emotional side than the practical side, but the practical side is there because that's the coins. But it's looking very good for you. I've got to run, but that's what's you're good. It's going to be a very interesting year for you. In short, just in terms of your emotional life, it's going to be quite good.
Okay. Well, good. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for calling, and I'm going to light a candle because I didn't have much time to talk to you. I'm going to light a candle as soon as I'm off here. It's a white candle to send some positive energy your way. How's that?
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Bye-bye now.
All right.
And folks, that's it. We've come to the end of another edition of Reverend Eliot's Magical Window, show 360 or something like that. I've lost track at the moment. But they're all over there at the archives at askoneradio.com. And let's see, what I got a couple of minutes here that I can tell you. I am working on something, by the way. I'm restoring a book, which is something that I need to do for myself, because my vision has been severely restricted in the last year and change. About the last year and a half or so, my vision has been severely limited. But I'm restoring a book. I've got the scans of the pages. It's a book from 1833. And I'm doing that, and it's going to be something interesting. It's a very influential book from 1833. So, but that would be a good price for it too, by the way, wouldn't it? 1833. But it's about solitude, and I'm bringing that up because we touched on this in the other shows and briefly last week, that people are feeling so disconnected now, especially because of the lockdowns and because of working at home, and people feeling alone. And there's a mental health crisis cooking right now. That's part of it. And this is a book about an old book about what being alone does. The good stuff and the not so good stuff, but it's worth seeing the good stuff. Personally, I've got the makings of a hermit, so that's right up my alley. But I will let you know as that passes. As that progresses, I may have an introduction that I'll append to it, but probably not, because it's a big enough book, and it's been around a long, long time, and there are certain copies available elsewhere. But they're bad. They're very bad-looking copies, and that's why I'm doing a digital restoration, and it's going to be as good as new. And I will let you know about that, too, because solitude is important, but it's been imposed on us. In all of this, they said, well, when they did the lockdowns, well, we're going to get poetry and symphonies and all that, and what we got was, suicides and angst. I know one person who wrote a play during the lockdowns and actually got it produced. Lucky dog. That's a good thing. But I'm glad that somebody did it. And that means that there's other people who did it that I don't know about. So if you have something that you did that's special during the lockdowns and all of that period of forced aloneness, let me know, and I'll be happy to let the world know about it. I'm at asktarot@earthlink.net. So I am out of here until next week. Until then, if you, my email again is asktarot@earthlink.net. If you want to know more about what I do, that's magic, magick-works.com, and go to the occult jewelry page there, because there's a sale going on, and I put about 4 or 5 new amulets there. So I'll see you next week, and I look forward to it. And remember, who you are is the universe's gift to you. Who you become is your gift right back to the universe. Bye-bye now.